Hello everyone! Welcome back to our channel. Have you ever felt like you were falling behind in life? Perhaps you looked around and saw people moving faster than you. Someone built a successful career. Someone bought a house. Someone started a family. Someone achieved a goal you have been working toward for years. And before you even realized it, a familiar thought appeared. I'm behind. Maybe you've felt this while learning English. Maybe you've felt it in your career. Maybe you've felt it in your relationships. Or perhaps you've felt it while simply trying to figure out what you want from life. The feeling can appear almost anywhere, and once it arrives, it can be difficult to ignore. Because everywhere we look, the world seems to be moving quickly. Faster results, faster success, faster growth, faster everything. It often feels as though life is one giant race. A race where everyone else received a head start. A race where everyone seems to know where they are going. A race where you are constantly trying to catch up. But have you ever stopped to ask a simple question? What if life is not a race at all? Imagine joining a long bicycle journey. Hundreds of people are riding along the same road. At first, everything feels enjoyable. The weather is pleasant. The scenery is beautiful. The road stretches peacefully into the distance. You begin pedaling, steadily, comfortably, at your own pace. Then something happens. Another cyclist passes you, then another, and another. Soon, riders are moving ahead from every direction. At first, it doesn't bother you, but gradually, your attention begins to change. You stop noticing the scenery. You stop enjoying the fresh air. You stop appreciating the journey itself. Instead, you begin watching everyone else. How fast are they going? Why are they ahead of me? Should I be riding faster? Am I too slow? Without realizing it, the journey has become a competition. The same road, the same bicycle, the same destination. Yet the experience feels completely different. Perhaps this happens more often than we realize. Many people spend years enjoying their own progress. Then one comparison changes everything. Suddenly, life feels late. Success feels delayed. Growth feels insufficient. The problem is not always where we are. The problem is often where we are looking. Imagine a child planting a small seed. Every morning, the child runs outside to check on it. The first day, nothing happens. The second day, nothing happens. The third day, still nothing. The child becomes impatient. Why isn't it growing? Meanwhile, another plant nearby is already taller. Another is already blooming. Another seems far ahead. If the child only focuses on those plants, disappointment becomes inevitable. But growth has its own schedule, its own rhythm, its own timing. Some seeds bloom quickly. Others spend months building roots underground. And those roots matter, even when nobody can see them. Human lives often follow the same pattern. Some people discover their path early. Others need more time. Some people find success in their 20s. Others find it in their 50s. Some people meet the right person quickly. Others wait years. And yet we continue comparing timelines as if every life should unfold in exactly the same way. Imagine visiting an orchard filled with different kinds of trees. Apple trees, cherry trees, pear trees, peach trees. Each grows differently. Each blooms differently. Each produces fruit at a different time. The apple tree does not panic because the cherry tree blooms first. The pear tree does not feel ashamed because the peach tree grows faster. Nature seems to understand something that human beings often forget. Different does not mean wrong. Different does not mean behind. Different simply means different. Yet many of us spend years fighting this truth. We rush. We worry. We compare. We push ourselves harder and harder, not because we know where we want to go, but because we are afraid of being left behind. And fear can be a powerful driver. For a while, fear can make us pedal faster. Fear can make us work longer. Fear can make us chase goals we never truly wanted. But fear rarely creates peace. Imagine riding that bicycle journey again. This time, you pedal as fast as possible. You pass dozens of people, then hundreds. You finally move near the front, but something strange happens. You are still looking around. Someone is still faster. Someone is still ahead. Someone still seems to be doing better. The anxiety remains. Because the problem was never your position. The problem was believing that your worth depended on your position. And that is a race nobody can truly win. Because there will always be someone faster, someone richer, someone younger, someone more successful, someone who appears to have everything figured out. The finish line keeps moving. The comparison never ends. And eventually, many people begin asking themselves a different question. Not, how can I go faster? But, why am I in such a hurry? That question changes everything. Because once we begin questioning the rush, we start noticing things we had forgotten to see. The scenery, the lessons, the growth, the people beside us, the beauty of the journey itself. And perhaps most importantly, we begin noticing something that comparison had hidden from us all along. The possibility that our own pace might already be enough. Many people spend their entire lives searching for a faster pace. But very few stop to ask whether faster is actually better. Perhaps that is because we grow up surrounded by invisible timelines. Timelines that tell us when things should happen. By this age, you should have a career. By this age, you should have a family. By this age, you should own a home. By this age, you should know exactly who you are. And when our lives do not match those expectations, something inside us becomes uneasy. We start feeling late, even when nobody is actually keeping score. Imagine walking into a room filled with clocks. Hundreds of clocks. Every one of them ticking. Every one showing a different time. Some are ahead. Some are behind. Some move quickly. Some move slowly. Now imagine choosing one clock at random and deciding that every other clock in the room must match it perfectly. It sounds impossible, because it is. Yet many of us do something very similar with our lives. We look at one person's timeline and treat it as the standard. Then we compare ourselves against it. And when our lives look different, we assume something is wrong. But perhaps nothing is wrong at all. Perhaps we simply have different clocks. Think about how often life surprises us. A person spends years pursuing one career, only to discover their true passion much later. Someone experiences failure that eventually leads them towards something better. Someone finds love after they had almost given up looking. Someone starts over at an age when others believe starting over is impossible. Life rarely follows a straight line. It twists, it turns, it pauses, it surprises us. And often the chapters we once considered delays become some of the most important parts of our story. Imagine reading a book where every chapter arrived exactly when you expected. No surprises, no setbacks, no unexpected opportunities, no moments of uncertainty. It would not feel much like a story. It would feel like a schedule. Human lives are meaningful partly because they are unpredictable. The detours matter. The waiting matters. Even the seasons of uncertainty matter. Yet those are often the very seasons we try hardest to escape. Because waiting can feel uncomfortable. Imagine standing at a train station. You arrive early. Your train has not yet arrived. Other trains come and go. Passengers board. Passengers leave. The station grows busy. As time passes, you begin looking around. Everyone seems to be going somewhere. Everyone seems to be moving. Meanwhile, you remain where you are. The longer you wait, the easier it becomes to believe you're being left behind. But what if your train simply operates on a different schedule? What if your destination requires a different route? What if the waiting itself is preparing you for the journey ahead? These possibilities rarely occur to us, because waiting often feels like failure. But waiting and failure are not the same thing. Sometimes waiting is growth in disguise. Think about a seed beneath the ground. From the surface, nothing appears to be happening. Days pass, weeks pass. The soil looks unchanged. Yet beneath the surface, roots are forming. Systems are developing. Strength is being built. The most important work is happening where nobody can see it, including the seed itself. Human growth often works the same way. There are seasons when progress is visible. Promotions, achievements, milestones, recognition. And then there are seasons when growth is almost entirely invisible. Learning, healing, recovering, reflecting, becoming. These seasons may not look impressive from the outside, but they are often the seasons that shape us most deeply. The problem is that modern life rarely celebrates invisible growth. It celebrates visible results. The certificate, the promotion, the finished product, the success story. But rarely the years of effort that came before. Rarely the patience. Rarely the persistence. Rarely the quiet determination that made everything possible. And because of this, many people begin believing that only visible progress counts. Yet some of the most valuable things in life cannot be measured that way. Wisdom grows slowly. Character grows slowly. Confidence grows slowly. Trust grows slowly. Peace grows slowly. Like roots beneath the ground. Like a tree adding one ring at a time. Like a river carving its path through stone. The process is gradual, almost invisible, yet incredibly powerful. Imagine watching a sunrise. No single second transforms darkness into daylight. The change is gradual, so gradual that it is easy to miss. Yet if you look away for a while and then return, everything is different. The sky has changed. The light has changed. The world has changed. Perhaps growth often happens this way, not through dramatic leaps, but through small changes repeated over time. And maybe this is why comparing speeds can be so misleading, because speed is not the same thing as direction. A person can move very quickly toward the wrong destination. Another can move slowly toward the right one. From a distance, the faster person appears successful. But only time reveals where each path actually leads. Imagine two cyclists again. One races forward without ever asking where the road goes. The other moves more slowly, but follows a path that feels meaningful. Years later, who was truly ahead? The answer may not be as obvious as it first seems. Perhaps this is one of life's quiet lessons. The goal is not to move as quickly as possible. The goal is to move intentionally, to move thoughtfully, to move in a direction that aligns with who you are. Because eventually, most people discover something surprising. The things they wanted most were not speed, not status, not competition, but meaning, connection, peace, purpose. And these things cannot be rushed. Like trees, like rivers, like sunrises, they unfold at their own pace. And perhaps the same is true for us. Perhaps our lives were never meant to follow someone else's schedule. Perhaps our clocks were never supposed to match. Perhaps the pressure to keep up has been distracting us from something much more important. Not how fast we are moving, but where we are actually going. Perhaps that is the question that matters most. Not how fast we are moving, but where we are actually going. Because if we are honest, many of the things we rush toward are not things we have chosen for ourselves. They are things we absorbed from the world around us. The world says move faster, achieve more, get there sooner, stay ahead, keep up. And for a long time, many of us listen. We pedal harder. We push ourselves further. We convince ourselves that once we reach the next milestone, we will finally be able to relax, finally be happy, finally feel enough. But something curious often happens. The milestone arrives, and the feeling doesn't. The finish line moves, the pressure remains, the hurry continues, and we find ourselves chasing yet another destination. Then another, then another, like someone running toward the horizon. No matter how far they travel, the horizon remains in the distance. Perhaps this is because peace was never waiting at the next milestone. Perhaps peace was waiting in the journey itself. Imagine riding that bicycle again. This time, something is different. You are no longer looking at the cyclists ahead. You are no longer counting how many people pass you. You are no longer calculating whether you are winning or losing. Instead, you lift your eyes. You notice the trees, the fields, the sky, the sound of the wind, the warmth of the sunlight. And suddenly, the journey feels lighter. The road has not changed. The bicycle has not changed. You have not become faster. What changed was your attention. And sometimes attention changes everything. Many people spend years believing they need a different life, when in reality, they may simply need a different perspective. Imagine carrying a compass in your pocket. For years, you ignored it. You were too busy watching everyone else's direction, too busy comparing routes, too busy worrying about speed. Then one day, you finally take the compass out and look at it. For the first time in a long time, you ask yourself an honest question. What direction actually matters to me? Not to my friends, not to society, not to strangers online. Me. The answer may not arrive immediately, and that's okay. Some answers take time, but the moment we begin asking that question, something important happens. We stop living entirely through other people's expectations. We begin building a life that feels more like our own, a life that reflects our values, our priorities, our dreams, our definition of success. Because success means different things to different people. For one person, success may be building a company. For another, it may be raising a family. For someone else, it may be finding peace after years of struggle. None of these paths are wrong. They are simply different. And different paths require different speeds. Imagine hiking through the mountains. Some travelers stop frequently. They take photographs. They admire the scenery. They rest when they need to. Others move quickly. They focus entirely on reaching the summit. Neither approach is automatically better. The important thing is whether the pace matches the traveler, whether the journey feels meaningful, whether the path feels true. Perhaps life works the same way. The right pace is not the fastest pace. The right pace is the pace that allows you to keep moving without losing yourself. Because what is the value of reaching a destination if you arrive exhausted, disconnected, and unable to enjoy it? Sometimes slower is wiser. Sometimes slower is healthier. Sometimes slower allows us to notice things we would otherwise miss. The smile of a loved one. The beauty of an ordinary day. The lessons hidden inside a challenge. The quiet progress happening beneath the surface. These things rarely appear when we are rushing. They reveal themselves when we slow down enough to see them. Think about a river. A river never hurries. It twists. It turns. It pauses. It bends around obstacles. Sometimes it moves quickly, sometimes it moves slowly, yet somehow it reaches the ocean, not because it rushes, but because it continues, steadily, patiently, faithfully. Perhaps there is wisdom in that. Many people believe they need to move faster, but often what they truly need is to keep going. One step, one day, one choice at a time, without panic, without comparison, without constantly wondering whether they are behind. Because behind whom? Behind what? A timeline that belongs to someone else? A path that was never yours? A destination you never truly wanted? The older many people become, the more they realize something simple. Life is not a race against other people. It is a relationship with time. And relationships improve when we stop fighting them. When we stop demanding that everything happen immediately. When we stop treating every delay as a disaster. When we stop believing that slower means failure. Because slower does not mean failure. Different does not mean failure. Taking your own path does not mean failure. In fact, it may be the very thing that leads to a more meaningful life. So if you have been feeling behind lately, if you have been worried that everyone else is moving faster, if you have been wondering whether you are too late, consider this possibility. You may not be behind at all. You may simply be traveling at your own pace. And perhaps that pace is teaching you things that speed never could. Patience, wisdom, resilience, perspective, gratitude. The kinds of lessons that stay with you long after the race has ended. The kinds of lessons that help build a beautiful life. So take a breath. Trust your path. Trust your pace. Keep moving forward. Not because someone else is moving. Not because the world is rushing. But because your journey is still unfolding. One day, one step, one chapter at a time. And that is enough. Thank you for spending this time with me. And see you in the next story.